Hi everyone, it's Miss Terry and I'm here today to share with you some September picks for new realistic fiction at the library. Now all of these books are geared for high schoolers, so please keep that in mind when you're looking for books for your student. So this first story I'm going to talk about is actually a new one by Angie Thomas, and she's the author of The Hate U Give, and this one is called Concrete Rose, and this is actually a prequel to The Hate U Give, and it tells the story of Maverick, who is Star's father. But this goes back to when he was 17 years old and he was struggling. His father was a gang leader who was actually in jail, so he started selling drugs to help his mom pay the bills. And then he gets his girlfriend pregnant and he has a baby, a little baby 7, and he decides that the life that he is currently leading is not going to be a good life for raising a family. And his best friend King is kind of trying to pull him further into the gang world, and he's kind of resisting. And then King ends up dying, and this even pushes Maverick more to wanting to change his life and to get out of the gang world. And when his girlfriend gets pregnant a second time, this helps him make some of those decisions to make the big changes that he needs to do. So it's called Concrete Rose. Running by Natalie Sylvester is a story of 15-year-old Cuban-American girl Mariana, who has always been the dutiful daughter. Her father's a senator in Miami, Florida, and she's always done basically what he's wanted her to do. But things are changing. Her father has decided to run for president, and this kind of puts privacy out of the water. Like she's finding it very difficult to have her private moments. She's getting splashed all over the tabloids as people are trying to tear her father down. Her best friend and mom have to abandon their home when contaminated water is discovered in Florida. And Mariana discovers that her father might be the common link to the water and what's going on in her community. And she's starting to feel like maybe she needs to find her voice, and she needs to say, look, Dad, this isn't right. You need to fix this. And her dad is actually a fully fleshed out character as well. He's not that typical, evil senator. He's struggling too with trying to stay true to his roots, as well as trying to get the donors that he needs in order to make a successful run for presidency. So this is called Running. When We Were Strangers by Alex Richards is a story about a girl named Evie, and she's sitting in class one day when she receives word that her father has had a heart attack and has died. She ends up getting home before her mother returns from the hospital, and she discovers that her dad was packing his bags and prepared to leave the family to go live with his young girlfriend, whose name is Bree. And this really upsets Evie. Evie decides that she doesn't want her mom to know, so she puts away everything and makes it look like her dad was just having a typical day. So she's really struggling with the grief of losing her father, on top of being very angry with him for the choices that he was about to make. And then she decides to start stalking the girlfriend. She's taking a photo class where she meets kind of a new crush named Declan, and she is pretty much tailing Bree around and trying to find out more about her. And she also then discovers that Bree is 6 months pregnant, and this changes everything yet again for her. So she's trying to come to terms with what's happening with her father, having a new person in her life in Declan, helping her best friend Juana, and also trying to help her mom deal with the grief that she is feeling over her father. So that's called When We Were Strangers. The Summer of Lost Letters by Hannah Reynolds is a story about 17-year-old Abby, whose grandmother has passed away, and when going through her things, she discovers a packet of letters from a secret love named Edward. And this kind of reveals a story and a past for her grandmother that no one in the family was aware of. And Abby decides that she wants to track down the person in the letter and find out more about her grandmother. And so she gets a summer job in Nantucket, which is where Edward was supposedly living. And she meets Edward's grandson, who's very handsome. His name is Noah. He's also a Sephardic Jew, really into botany, kind of resisting some of the religious aspects of his family's culture. But the two of them start to have feelings for each other as they try to uncover the mystery of the grandmother and Grandpa Edward. It's a really good look at the choices we make sometimes when we put family and pride before love. So it's called The Summer of Lost Letters. Junk Boy is about a boy named Bobby who lives with his kind of mean, abusive, drunk dad, kind of on the outskirts of town in a very dilapidated house, and his yard is full of junk. So he kind of gets the nickname of Bobby Junk. He gets bullied a lot at school and made fun of based on his circumstances. Well, then Bobby meets a girl named Rachel, and he actually witnesses kind of an act of violence against her by her mother when Rachel's mom discovers her with her girlfriend. And so the two of them kind of bond over their poor parents, their poor parenting parents, and the abuse that they suffer at their hands. And so this is a really great story about how words and actions can really affect others, and the two of them forging a friendship despite all of the hardships in their life. So that's called Junk Boy. List of 10 is an Own Voices novel. It's written by Haley Gomez, and Troy, it's about 16-year-old Troy who has Tourette's syndrome. So he has a lot of tics, he has a lot of compulsive behaviors that he really can't control. He decides that he's just tired of it all. He's very weary, he's very sad. On top of his Tourette's, he suffers from obsessive compulsive disorder, and 10 is a very important number to him. And he decides that on the 10th anniversary of his diagnosis, he is going to commit suicide. But before that, he has a list of 10 things that he wants to try to do before that big date that he's coming down to. Well, unexpectedly, he meets a girl named Corey who has some secrets of her own and some hardships that she's dealing with. And she's kind of helping him get through some of his list, not really knowing what the end result is, what is going to happen. And then what happens is that Corey starts to make him think that maybe he doesn't have to follow through with his plan, but turning away from that 10th item on his list of committing suicide is going to take a lot of effort on his part. So this is called List of 10. The Ghosts We Keep is about a junior boy named Liam. He is a non-binary teen, and he has just lost his older brother Ethan to a hit and run. And Ethan was kind of the star of his family. He's a star baseball player, he's good looking, has lots of friends, but Liam has always kind of felt like the leftover son, and he's struggling to come to terms with the death of his brother, and he turns to Ethan's best friend Marcus, who actually skipped Ethan's funeral, and Liam really wants to know why, and he's trying to figure that out. And he has his two friends to kind of help him, Vanessa and Joel, but they've started dating, so they're starting to feel a little bit left behind by that. So he's trying to unveil some of the secrets that his brother was hiding, and he realizes that there's more to the story of what happened between Ethan and Marcus than he even realizes. So that's called The Ghosts We Keep. More Than Just a Pretty Face is kind of a twist on your normal rom-com, and this is the story of Daniel, who is gorgeous, funny, popular. He's a really good cook, and he's fallen in love with a girl named Caval. And everyone in his family says, dream on, that girl's way out of your league, you are not smart enough for her. And he really wants to prove them wrong, so he enlists the help of a friend named Bisma, and Bisma actually was his family's choice as a possible arranged marriage once they graduate high school, but she has some of her own things that she's dealing with her family, but she agrees to help Daniel, and the two of them work to win a academic competition at school in the hopes that he can prove to the girl of his dreams that he's more than just a pretty face. Little does he know that true love is maybe a little bit closer at hand. Kind of an interesting take on that rom-com when the boy is the one that is more than just a pretty face. This next one is called We Are Inevitable by Gail Forman. This is the author of If I Stay, if you've seen that movie or read that book. And this is about 19-year-old Aaron, whose brother actually dies from an overdose. Now, Aaron's parents are already divorced. They own this small little bookstore, and because of his brother's addiction, they're kind of in financial straits. They're declaring bankruptcy. And his dad is really starting to struggle with some mental confusion and agitation. And this is all too much for Aaron, and he just wants to get rid of this bookstore. So he secretly arranges a sale. Well, one of his brother's best friends, Chad, who's in a wheelchair, convinces Aaron that he needs to update the bookstore and make it wheelchair accessible. And this unemployed group of lumberjacks actually comes in to try to help renovate the store. And Aaron doesn't really have the heart to tell them that he's already made a sale. He's already sold it. So he's keeping some secrets from Chad and his family. And when that, I'm going to say, betrayal eventually comes out, it really makes Aaron realize the power of secrets and how hurtful they can be. So it's called We Are Inevitable. And then the last one today is called Like Home. And this is about a girl named Nalo, and she is a Nigerian Canadian, and she lives in a neighborhood called Ginger East, which really has a bad reputation because of a shooting that occurred there in the past. And as a matter of fact, most people say, and this is a quote, that place is no good for children. It's not a good place to grow up. Well, Nella disagrees, and her friends love their community. And her best friend, Kate, is a Vietnamese Canadian who owns a local corner store. And when that gets vandalized, Nello kind of tries to get everyone together to say, no, Ginger East is not what you think it is. And that this viral video kind of throws her into the spotlight. And then some developers come in and try to start getting the neighborhood's residents to start selling their places. This is a really important novel of what it means, the meaning of home, and what it means to make a community. And this is called Like Home. Hope you enjoy.